Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. If you'd please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Sean, will you please call roll?
Deputy Mayor Wells.
Here.
Councilmember Baggett.
Here.
Councilmember DeCoursey.
Here.
Councilmember Holman.
Here.
Councilmember Pelosa.
Here.
Councilmember Trout-Manuel.
Here.
Councilmember Wagner.
Here.
Thank you. Let's see, we have no announcements, proclamations, or presentations this evening. So we will move on to agenda modifications. Sean, do we have any agenda modifications?
Ordinance number 6659 has been removed from the agenda, and an updated agreement has been provided to council for resolution 5326.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we have public hearings this evening. The first one is the 2017-2018 mid-biennial budget public hearing number 1. City Council to conduct a hearing on the 2017-2018 mid-biennial budget. Shelley, do you have any presentation?
I do not have a presentation. We have gone over this last week, and we also went over it in September and fielded most of the questions, or all the questions.
Okay. I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak to the 2017-2018 mid-biennial budget? Anyone at all? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And I will, the next one is the 2018 property tax levy public hearing. City Council to conduct a hearing on the 2018 property tax levy. Shelley, any presentation on this?
We went over this last week also, and again, we did in September, the levy.
Okay. I will open the public hearing on the 2018 property tax levy. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Anyone like to speak on the property tax levy? Please give your name and record, or name and address for the record, and limit comments to 3 minutes.
Virginia Haugen, 2503 R Street Southeast, Auburn. Property taxes. I know some people in Auburn who pay property taxes, not just in Auburn, but in the communities that they live in. They also have to belong to a BIA. That's Auburn Downtown Association. Some of them aren't very happy about it, and I attended a meeting. I assume the mayor doesn't want me to speak to this issue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak on the 2018 property tax levy? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. And we will move to audience participation. This is the place on the agenda where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on any issue. Those wishing to speak are reminded to sign in on the form provided. If you'd like to speak, please remember to give your name and address for the record and limit comments to 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Anyone, please come forward, give your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Bob Zimmerman. I live at 33029 46th Place South. I recently graduated from the Citizens Academy that the city puts on. I'd like to thank you guys for doing that. It was very informative, and I would say that it appears that most of the departments are giving people a lot of bang for their buck, and they're very efficiently operated. The only skepticism I have is because of what I've experienced with the building department and the concrete wall that stands on top of the ground adjacent to our property that I have spoken about before. Now, my primary reason for going to this Citizens Academy was I expected that they would find a way that we would be able to fix this problem. And there isn't any. They basically are not held accountable for any particular action that they take under the, I think it's called the public duty doctrine. And not only did they deny the existence of the code for at least 7 years, they've botched the engineered repair when I hired an engineer to evaluate that wall. And it is very easy to demonstrate that it does not meet that standard. You just drive a steel rod in the ground, and the 3 places that I checked, which is 17% of the project, they are 33 to 46% deficient. These things are supposed to be 18 inches thick, this poured concrete to keep this thing from tipping over. And the only one that I hit concrete on is only 10 inches thick, and the others are, I was 12 inches down, and I didn't hit any concrete, so they have to be at least 33% deficient. Now, the department tells me that this is a civil matter because it is the owner's responsibility to do this thing right. And of course, they don't have any responsibility to do their job right. So I have no cause for action until I have a serious injury during this earthquake that tips this thing over and kills somebody. Now, that's absolutely ridiculous that there's no cause for action. And I did finally get some answers from state legislature out of Joe Fain. I mean, that's taken a couple of years, and of course they're busy with endless legislature. But they say that there is no one that holds cities accountable for their negligence. Not in state law. There is no mechanism that I've been able to find yet. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to quit looking, because I am the eternal optimist. I always find a way to solve problems, and I will find a way to solve this one. Just a question of how damn long it's going to take. But they tell me that I am supposed to bring civil action against the city to get you guys to do your job. Now, come on, give me a break. You expect that they expect, I guess, you guys don't expect, but the state law says that I am supposed to go up against the taxing authority of the city of Auburn to get them to make this thing safe on our property line. Now, it's quite ironic tonight that King 5 was running a deal on emergency preparedness. And
Mr. Zimmerman, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up. You've gone over the 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry, yes. I guess I will just say that last year you guys announced, or I saw in the paper, that you were going to do a code enforcement throughout the city. You know, start up on Ree Hill, and we're going to go out there and we're going to look for all the unkept lawns and the overgrown lots and the piles of junk, and we're going to get this stuff taken care of. Now, if we're going to do that, why are we not going to go out and deal with the issues that are a threat to people's lives? Mr. Zimmerman, I need you to wrap it up.
You have gone way over
I just want to make that one final comment.
Thank you very much.
I would be very embarrassed if I was on the city council and was picking up garbage.
Mr. Zimmerman, your time is up. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I hope you address this issue. Goodbye.
It has been addressed numerous times for you, Mr. Zimmerman. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone else like to speak? Please come forward, give your name and address for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Virginia Haugen, 2503 R Street Southeast, Auburn. I can't imagine what that guy's got anything to, I can't imagine he has anything to complain about with the city of Auburn. I just happened to hit a BIA meeting down here, just stumbled on it on Friday, and I got to listen to these people down here trying to stay in business and paying anywhere from $500 to $600 to $1,500 a year to belong to a BIA that is doing nothing for them. 1988, that ordinance was passed, it was approved, and I knew it was approved. I was against it then. I was on the council in 93. I was against it then. In 77, it was amended and reapproved. Don't think I would have voted for it, but I wasn't on the council in 77, or I mean in 2007, excuse me. And it's just been passed again, I guess. November 6th, or maybe that was the resolution. Funny thing, I don't know of a single person in this room who is trying to keep a business going in downtown Auburn. And I want to know, or I should say, I would guess that if you people were in business in downtown Auburn, that you would be very, very upset at having to pay a BIA tax when you couldn't get people to even come in your door. Thank you. Oh, by the way, I'm sure that you thought I'd be at home watching the game. I'm going home to watch it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Anyone else? Hearing none, we will move on to correspondence. Sean, we have no correspondence this evening?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Council Ad Hoc Committee reports. Council Ad Hoc Committee chairs may report on the status of their ad hoc council committee's progress on assigned tasks and may give their recommendations to the City Council, if any. And currently, the ad hoc committee in place is for Finance. Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, as members of the Council Ad Hoc Finance Committee, Councilmember Wagner and I reviewed the payroll vouchers and electronic deposits for approximately $2.1 million and claims vouchers and wire transfers for approximately $8.7 million for the periods November 2nd through November 15th, 2017, and November 20th, respectively. All questions were answered to the committee's satisfaction by the Finance Directorate, and the committee recommends council approval of these expenses.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to the consent agenda. All matters listed on the consent agenda are considered by the City Council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. Do we have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember Baggett.
I second that, Your Honor.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
Thank you. On the consent agenda, we have the minutes of the November 6, 2017 meeting. We have claim vouchers that Councilmember Baggett and Councilmember Wagner reviewed and recommended that we approve. We have the payroll vouchers, again reviewed by Councilmember Wagner and Councilmember Baggett, recommended for review, approval. And finally, one of the annual activities that we do is the 2018 annual on-call assignment or agreements for professional services to supplement our staff. And I recommend they be approved.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes. All right, we have no unfinished business, no new business. We will move on to ordinances. Mr. City Attorney.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Ordinance number 6664, an ordinance to the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, establishing the levy for regular property taxes for the City of Auburn for collection in 2018 for general city operational purposes in the amount of $21,548,429.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett, did you want to make that motion?
Yes. Thank you. Basically, this is...
Do you want to make the motion first?
Yeah. I make a motion that we approve the ordinance number 6664.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you. This basically is an ordinance for the City Council of the City of Auburn establishing a levy for regular property taxes by the City of Auburn for collection in 2018 for general city operational purposes in the amount of $21,548,429. This represents approximately about a 10% increase overall.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of ordinance number 6664, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5317, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, approving a grant, the grant management administrative policy.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Wagner. Your microphone, please.
I move for the adoption of Resolution 5317.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Wagner.
Well, we need a way to deal with all of the grants that we get, and there are some guidelines and requirements from the federal government and from other agencies that make grants to us. So this is simply to put in place a management policy for all that.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution number 5317, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5319, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, amending the City of Auburn fee schedule to adjust for 2018 fees.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Pelosi. Your microphone, please.
I move the acceptance of Resolution 5319.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Pelosi.
Thank you, Mayor. What this does is it updates all of our fees throughout the city. This will be our 2018 fee book of fees, you might say. And it covers everything from land use to Parks Department, etc. Airplane storage and golf course fees, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Wells. Your microphone, please.
Daryl, included in the fees, are they the fees for attending some of the summer events, or are those outside of this fee listing?
Yeah, those are outside of this
Okay.
fee. The fees in here are for rentals of publicly owned facilities. Recreation classes are priced separately under a separate policy.
Okay, because one of the issues that I have is I want to look at what we charge, like for the 4th of July events for the kids to participate in things, but the 4th of July is a long ways off, so I can wait and talk about that later. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution number 5319, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5326, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing the mayor to execute an addendum to the agreement with Auburn Valley Humane Society to provide for animal licensing services.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Wells.
I recommend the approval of Resolution 5326.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
Second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Wells.
I'm glad that we've taken our time and given the Humane Society a chance to get on sound financial footing. And I think the next step is to do this agreement, which will allow the Humane Society to go to agencies that are outside of the city where people from Auburn may go to get their pet licenses and capture that market. So this is a real good move and less work for us to do.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution number 5326, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes.
Resolution number 5327, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Auburn, Washington, authorizing and supporting its grant funding application to the Port of Seattle for Economic Development Partnership Program funds.
Thank you. Do I have a motion? Councilmember Holman.
Yes, I move for the acceptance of Resolution 5327.
Thank you. Is there a second? Councilmember DeCoursey.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman.
Yeah, this is the second round of grant acceptance from the Port of Seattle, and we'll continue establishing a funding source from the Port of Seattle for the City of Auburn.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of resolution number 5327, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Passes. All right, we will move on to mayor and council member reports. At this time, the mayor and city council may report on significant items associated with their appointed positions on federal, state, regional, and local organizations. Deputy Mayor Wells.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to first, I haven't done this yet, but we all have an opportunity on November 23rd, this Wednesday, at 8 o'clock to go to Holy Family and help with the distribution of the Thanksgiving baskets. They will have hams and turkey slices and turkey and all the different things that are necessary for people to have a joyous Thanksgiving. We probably deliver to 200 families, so any help that can be provided is greatly appreciated. We'll have kids from our high schools helping us prepare the bags and boxes. So again, if you're able to come and help, Holy Family, 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Next item I want to discuss is I was contacted on November 16th by Dave Herr's Auto Clinic on Auburn Way North, and he has seen a sudden insurgence of homeless people going through his parking lot where he stores overnight and maybe for weeks cars that need to be repaired. And in addition, he's seen a lot of homeless people parking and living up in the north end of town. I took the message and I sent it to Chief Lee, and he sent a sergeant out there, and I want to thank you for being so responsive to one of our small businesses' needs. Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to Councilmember DeCoursey.
Thank you, Mayor. On November 15th, I attended the King County Regional Transit Committee meeting. And as always, we have a pretty packed full agenda, a couple of different presentations and a couple of proposed motions. The presentation last Wednesday was identifying the growth requirement needed for transit in the region. So there's a system evaluation that takes place regarding transit needs in the region. And Metro staff also identified needs for costs of improving transit needs, transit, which is an additional $167,000 over their current budget. What this does, it helps Metro identify and provide reasons why and solutions to lateness of service, why buses don't show up on time, why they don't show up at all, different issues related to the implementation of Metro Connects, which is now the Alternative Services Program, which does also affect us here in Auburn, and also how the policy needs overall are addressed. So the Regional Transit Committee will be working on these issues through the middle of 2018 to give Metro some additional resources that they can have to finalize their report and to implement the Metro Connects program overall. The committee did accept the motion approving the report, and now that goes to King County for their final approval, and it's just a motion to accept the report. The next regular scheduled meeting is December 20th. Looks like we're probably not going to have that meeting, but we will have a Sound Cities Association Committee caucus, which I recommended we do here in Auburn, and we're currently set up to do it at the Community and Event Center, depending upon the concurrence of the SCA RTC chair and the representative from Sound Cities Association. So I'll keep you informed of that, and that usually is held in the afternoon, so we'll probably start that meeting about 2 o'clock that afternoon if anybody's interested, and I'll let everybody know. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wagner.
Before I make my report of things that I've done, I wanted to mention that I think we misspoke as we spoke about how Ordinance 6664 was raising our taxes. I think I heard the number 10%. It's really about 2.5%, and more than half of that is from new construction. Our assessed valuation in the city went up by 10%. And so the new folks are paying their share, and we are still limited to 1% increase per year by law. So on the 9th, I attended the Puget Sound Regional Council Transportation Policy Board. There was discussion about the annual report of the transit integration of all the 8 or 9 or 11, depending on how you count, transit agencies in the 4-county region. And there is good progress there. One of the things that I really found interesting is they have embraced the idea of using Uber and Lyft for that first and last mile of transit. I think that they said they were going to do that a year ago, and they have done it, so that's good. We also talked about safety performance targets for all of the federal transportation projects, and also approved the special needs grants for this year, which is about $20 million. On the 16th, I attended the Pierce County Regional Council, where there is still much discussion about the regional centers that are designated by the Puget Sound Regional Council. And Pierce County is very concerned that the way that Puget Sound Regional Council is proposing to identify and categorize these centers may lead to unexpected consequences in funding formulas. So they put together a letter to Puget Sound Regional Council to ask for clarification that if there is a need to identify differences among these centers, that we should make it clear in each of those designations that that is not a criteria for funding. Then we also talked about some of the other requirements that the Puget Sound Regional Council wants to put upon anybody who gets designated as a center, and one was that they would need to do a marketing study. And we asked them to consider making that just voluntary, because every center is different. You know, ours is pretty much downtown, and so the marketing study is not all that useful unless the jurisdiction wants it for some reason for themselves. So we, again, do not think that should be something that goes into the funding formulas for grants from Puget Sound Regional Council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Holman. Councilmember Pelosi.
Finance Director, do you agree with what the council member said regarding taxes, his statement?
Could you repeat the question or statement on the taxes?
During the motion for that resolution or ordinance 6659, no 6664, the maker of the motion made a comment that it was an overall 10% increase. And it is not a 10% increase in taxes, it's a 10% increase in assessed valuation, which in fact makes us not have to tax the existing properties as much as we usually would. And the actual increase is about 2.5%, over half of which is paid by the new construction the past year.
I agree with Councilmember Wagner's statement.
Councilmember Holman.
Thank you, Mayor. I was impressed by Deputy Mayor's gesture about the Catholic Services Thanksgiving Day feed, and so I'll depart from my usual and join in the spirit of Thanksgiving. On Thursday, the 23rd, the Athens Pizza restaurant at the on East Main Street will be having their 6th annual Thanksgiving Day feed with the economic support and labor support from the Auburn Valley Barber Shop and the Barbers Against Hunger. And it'll be a free feed for anyone that will come and join them for a Thanksgiving Day turkey dinner at Athens Pizza. And this is their way of expressing their thanks for all the opportunities that this country has given them.
Thank you. Councilmember Baggett.
Thank you, Your Honor. I apologize for the 10% versus the 2 to 2.5% statement. That was a slip up on my part. Following the trend here with Thanksgiving and things of that nature, I'd also like to remind everybody that the Red Lotus restaurant, the day after Thanksgiving, which they've done for many, many years, has put on a free Thanksgiving dinner or Chinese dinner of your choice that's available. So, you know, please take advantage of one of these beneficial offerings by our businesses here in the city of Auburn, and everybody should enjoy a good Thanksgiving dinner that way. Moving on to some of the reports, I attended back on the 8th of November the Emergency Management Advisory Committee, better known as EMAC. Basically, they were going over the substance of dam approval. That's DAM, and that's basically was talked about by me and others at the other one of our other previous council meetings, and the importance of getting out there and getting these facilities reviewed and analyzed before we have a major disaster. Also, moving on to reallocation of some funding that was given back by the King County Public Health organization, and it was about $150,000. It really wasn't an awful lot of money. But basically, I think that we had a vote, and there were three options, and the one that was selected was option 2, which basically provided for a full funding of the pharmaceutical cash. That's C-A-C-H-E, not C-A-S-H, for those listening. And that would be $111,500 for that. And they had the law enforcement equipment, which basically covers canisters, vests, helmets, and night vision goggles. And the structural collapse equipment, they agreed to take the $38,460 and split that between both of those organizations. We also had the nominations for the vice chair of this committee, Jim Pugel of the King County Sheriff's Office, and Curry Mayer of the City of Bellevue. Election took place, and Jim Pugel of the County Sheriff's Office was elected vice chair for the next year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Trout Manuel.
Well, I was gone for 4 days to the National Leagues of Cities, and I have to say that this was one of the best National Leagues programs that they had since I've been going to them. We were busy from 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening going to different workshops. The first day I attended the public safety and crime prevention. That was a pretty heated debate going on in there. Some people were wanting to change some verbiage on people of color and Latinos, and it was a pretty heated discussion. It ended up to where they all compromised, and the wording was just, instead of eliminating the history, they left the history in there, and eliminating the word eliminating the culture, they ended up putting replacement instead of the word eliminating, because everybody was feeling that the word eliminating was meaning that they wanted to eliminate the African Americans and the Latinos. So I was telling my council member John Holman that I have never been to a workshop where they kind of debated for almost an hour on just the verbiage, 2 words in this one clause. Then after that, I went to the welcome reception. That was really nice. It was held by the exhibit at the exhibit hall. I went to the HELO membership meeting, which they elected me again on the board, and then they asked me to sign up for the Federal Advocacy Committee for Public and Safety. Then the next day, I went to the opiate, applying the science of we're in our fights against opiate epidemics. And what they were doing there is that they're collecting all the data, and it was really interesting how IT, they have a hub in the middle, and the data is distributed. They're collecting data from the fire department, from the police department, from the health department. It was just an enormous circle of all the data that they're collecting to where did somebody overdose, where did they use the drug to bring them back to life, how often were they using, where are the hot spots in the neighborhoods. And I would like to talk to IT about if we got something like that, because the data that they collect is showing where the hot spots are, where people are overdosing or the people have died, and the age group and all that stuff. So I've got some material that I would like to share. Then I went to the opening general session where Gabby Gifford and her husband were our keynote speakers, and it was really nice to see Gabby come up on stage and said a few words, and her husband was just an awesome speaker. He told us the whole thing about being a public servant, and also about him, his life story about not being able to read, and it wasn't a good student and all this and that, and just really gave a heart speech for our youth council that was there. Then I attended the Mayor's Building and Preserving Affordable Housing in Traditional Market. That was really interesting. What one city is doing is that they're taking all the blight neighborhoods and they're going in there and they're giving them grants to fix them up, or else the ones that have been donated to the city, they fix them up and they get homeless people or people that can't afford their first home. They go in there and they go by a scale. And so they're getting people in these neighborhoods and cleaning up the neighborhoods. Also buildings that are in downtown, they're doing the same thing, getting grants and building those up and getting quality businesses in those neighborhoods. Then I went to a lot of classes from the first day I got there. I went running until the last day. Another keynote speaker that I really think is a remarkable man, and that's Magic Johnson. He came in and he spoke, and he didn't stand up on the stage. He came down and he spoke to us right at our level. He was right next to me. And Bill, we took pictures of him. Then he got to a point where he picked out two young men that were 12 and 10 years old, and he talked to them directly and told them about his childhood and how to respect the elders and how to respect education and to stay in school, and how he, at one time, he got a job working, cleaning people's offices, and his dream while he was in there cleaning the CEO's office, he says, one day I'm going to be a CEO of my business. He says he recalls sitting there at the desk with his feet on the table and dreaming that he was the CEO, and he told these young kids that you have to stay in school, you have to study, keep good grades, and just follow your dream and dream high, and don't give up on your dreams. And he's also looking for cities to come and bring his money. He doesn't want us, the cities, using your money. He'll come, if you have a project that you want to build, they'll come and they'll use their own money to build these, whatever our city would like to be built. I like that, so I'm looking for projects. if we can, if we have a project to do. And then the reception for the new president was a nice reception. We've got a new president coming in for National Leagues of City, and he's going to be a good president. I'm really looking forward to doing stuff next year. And then we went to our AWC reception, and this time they had it with the Oregon people. So we got to meet some of the Oregon councilmen, mayors, and everything, and it was very well done. So I really liked this workshops that we had and National Leagues of Meetings. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Pelosi.
Continuing on with NLC, the funding, they're very solvent. They don't have any bills. They've got money in the bank, so we're in good shape, thanks to our fees. The 19,000 participating cities. So there was an election of a new president, and he is from North Little Rock, Arkansas. And I'll have to tell you a little story behind that. So while he was up there he was giving an acceptance speech, on the screen came, what president was that?
President Clinton.
President Clinton, of course, he's from North Little Rock. And the gentleman that's the new president, Mark Soldola, he was chief of staff for Clinton when he was running for president. So Clinton just told all about Mark and the great work that he did during his campaign, and that National League of Cities is lucky to have an experienced man like him at the helm. And then there was an election of a new second vice president, and he's from Los Angeles. So next November, and he's a council member for an LA, and LA has 15 districts. So I was talking to Joe one day, not this trip, but another trip. I said, hey, how many residents do you have in your district? He said 300,000. He's a very active guy. So, and then another, something new, the state of Washington, we have 4 representatives on the board for next year. Myself, 2 council members, well, 1 deputy mayor and a council member from Lacey, Washington, and then 1 council member from Shoreline. That's the first time that I've been involved with National League of Cities that we've had 4 council members or 4 elected officials from the state of Washington. So that's pretty impressive. And then a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I attended the RIA 9 Water Resource Inventory Area, number 9. That represents the Green River watershed. And it's the forum is called the Watershed Ecosystem Forum. And we were kind of updated on the science for fish. And I'll just throw a few comments out. Howard Hansen Dam up the road contributes to significant lower salmon productivity on the Green River, because when they need to advocate, we all need to advocate continued efforts to construct a fish passage to prevent the fish from going over the spillway, because they're just chewed up, and that's why the productivity is so low. But it's been talked several years ago to construct a dam outlet so that fish can come along the side, and they go down this big fall chute into the Green River, and they don't have to go over the spillway. Well, when they were getting this on the plan, all the drawings and all that, remember, we had trouble with the Howard Hansen Dam. So all the money that was going to construct this fish outlet went to the repair. I think it was $40 million, went to repair of the Howard Hansen Dam. So the current fish passage is in limbo right now. So all of the fish advocates around the state are advocating for the state legislature to put money back in so that they can construct that fish outlet. The Duwamish River area is a contamination for fish survival. And then near shore area in Burien, armoring or bulkheads block natural fish food nutrients from entering the water bodies. It just, they stay up there because of these bulkheads. Armoring, that means a bulkhead. They use that terminology. And then climate change effects. Higher water temperatures and stormwater are negative fish impacts. And then lastly, right over here by the Mosby Farm property, there was a project that was completed this summer called the Porter Reach Project. It was $6 million, and the project costs were funded by multiple sources. And the project is planned to reduce flooding in the area, widening the levee so it has bigger passage coming down, improve salmon habitat, and open the water flow and road protection. So it was a big project, and hopefully it'll improve the area over there. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So on Thursday, November 9th, we had a Veterans Day luncheon at the Senior Center honoring all of the veterans from the Auburn area. Always a fun event. Councilmember Trout Manuel had asked at her table how many years of service there were combined, and I think your table had 30 years. My table was rookies. We had 10 years. But I would imagine if we had counted up the number of years around the room, hundreds of years. Yeah, that would be nice to know what their years of service were. And it's going to be an impressive number, I have no doubt. And then that evening attended the Green River College Scholarship Banquet. Councilmember Holman and Councilmember Pelosi, I know you were both there to either provide scholarships through VFW or as a member of the Green River College Foundation. I think Green River College sometimes gets overlooked because it is in our own backyard. It's an excellent college. It's a great way for our students to transition from high school into college, and it is internationally known for some of their programs, and especially in the aviation area. And we just need to remember that it is a great school, and we should be very proud that we have Green River in our backyard, and with a new great president, Dr. Johnson, who is doing tremendous things already, getting out, meeting with the students, listening to their wants and needs as well as the faculty, and just a real healing process there, which is greatly needed. So I am very excited, very proud that we have Green River in our city and that we have such a great partnership with them. On Saturday, November 11th, it was our Veterans Day Parade, and kudos to the Parks Department, Julie and Christy especially, but the entire Parks Department, Parks Maintenance, and I think some of our own M&O were out as well. It's always an excellent event, of course, a way to honor our veterans. This year, the weather held out. We started the day with the American Legion breakfast and then a Veterans Remembrance ceremony over at Veterans Memorial Park, the parade with the C-17 and the Huey flyovers, and then after the parade, which numbered, I think, 199 or 200 entrants this year, we went to Merrill Gardens for the luncheon, which was sponsored by the Auburn Noon Lions, and then the Auburn Noon Lions flag dedication at, is it Bicentennial Park as you come off of Highway 18 onto Auburn Way South. There are now 5 new flags to honor all 5 divisions of the military, and it's Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard. Did I get them in the right order? I think they're in the right order. I do believe they're in the right order. So a big thank you to the Auburn Noon Lions under the leadership of President Candy Smith, and also I believe this was an idea that Bud Dyer had to make this happen. And within the short 2 to 3 month window of time, the flagpoles were ordered, the project was completed, and dedicated on Veterans Day, which was quite appropriate. And Daryl, again, thanks to your team for their outstanding work with the community. On Tuesday, November 14th, I was invited to speak to the Leadership Institute of South Puget Sound as they talked about vision and leadership, and they asked about visions for this city. I took a copy of the vision and mission statement for the city that you all revised a couple of years ago. Asked them for their feedback, and I will share that with all of you. They had some great ideas, maybe some great suggestions for additions in that, so I will write up those notes and share it with all of you to see if you have any desires to change it, or at least to get a sense for what the community feels about our vision and mission statement. And then also on the 14th, left Leadership Institute to attend the City of Auburn and Muckleshoot Tribal Council Global Meeting. We try and have those quarterly, as you know. However, sometimes due to unforeseen circumstances, those get delayed a little bit. This is the first one in about 6 months. But topics of interest this time included Auburn Way South projects up by the casino, and the Ray of Hope Resource Center, an overnight shelter, transit in our area, and also topics on how we can work together on homelessness. And always a good opportunity for us to identify additional ways to partner with the Muckleshoot tribe. On Wednesday the 15th, so last week was a week of graduations in Auburn. We had Wednesday, November 15th, the Police Citizens Academy graduation. On Thursday, November 16th, we welcomed our newest officer, Helena Stout, to the department, and I believe now we have only 1 or 2 openings in the department. Maybe just 1 now, because I believe the gentleman from the Ohio State accepted this weekend, so I think we are down to 1 opening, which is an accomplishment when we had 9 openings just a month or 2 ago. So kudos to HR and to the police for doing some great recruiting. So after swearing in our newest officer, it was time for the Civics Academy graduation. This was the 2nd class that we've held. It was one of my goals was to set up a Civics Academy to allow citizens in our community to have a better understanding of how the city of Auburn works, why we spend money the way we do or why we don't spend money the way we do, and what the restrictions are, what our challenges are, and allow those members of the class to spend their own city dollars to identify what they would fund and why. And I think every department presented during this 12-week course, and there were a couple of Saturday sessions. They got to go out to M&O, Maintenance and Operations, and learn about all of the really cool equipment that we have out there and all of the cool things that our M&O does that sometimes goes unnoticed, as do the actions in many of our departments, unless it's not done. And so thanks to all of our departments for helping to give the class participants a better understanding of how the city operates. And hopefully, maybe at some point we'll get to be like the Citizens Academy, to where we'll have 2 classes a year. Right now it's 1 a year. And then on Friday, November 17th, along with Chief Bob Lee and Assistant Chief Bill Pearson, we attended the Northwestern University Command College graduation class number 422. We had 4 graduates, Commanders Mark Collier and Dan O'Neill, and Sergeants Brian Williams and James Frith. And that is a 10-week course. They are driving... Steve, where is the class? Do you know? It's held up past at the Police Academy, so that is a bit of a drive for them every day for 10 weeks, and it is a very stringent curriculum, and we should be very proud of the 4 officers, 2 commanders and 2 sergeants that graduated from that class, and look forward to greatness from them because of what they have learned through the opportunity to attend. And Saturday the 18th, the CERT class, Community Emergency Response Team, it was their 46th class graduation. So thanks to Emergency Management for making sure that we have prepared citizens. And again, there were graduates from Wesley Homes, I will tell you, if any emergency happened in this city, Wesley Homes is the place to be. More per capita trained CERT graduates than any other place in this community. So kudos to them for all that they do, and we'll hopefully never have to use their services, but if something happens, we know where to go first. Tomorrow, there are going to be 2 Thanksgiving lunch seatings at the Senior Center, one at 11 a.m. and one at 1 p.m. Hope to see some of our seniors there for a great lunch, a great company. And then a reminder that on Thursday, some of you were mentioning opportunities for a Thanksgiving luncheon or dinner. Also, the Quarters restaurant down on West Main is having a free Thanksgiving dinner from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I just want to wish council and directors and our entire team, as well as the citizens of Auburn, a very happy Thanksgiving. May you have much to be thankful for, and may the upcoming holiday season be one of joy and happiness surrounded by those you love. With that, Mr. City Attorney, do we have need for an executive or closed session this evening?
No, we do not, Your Honor.
We are adjourned. Thank you.